So I get nervous when I talk in public, and I took this workshop with Heather Gold. Heather's advice to me was really good. She said, just be yourself. Don't over-prepare, and whatever you do, don't write out your talk in advance. And I thought, okay, that's really good advice, but I'm a writer. What I like to do is sit in a room by myself and put words together. And so this whole business of being yourself turns out to be really complicated from the very start. Now, it's always been that way. However, recently, it has gotten even more complicated for all of us because we're on social media. We're there with RuPaul, competing with all sorts of people and trying to act naturally while we do it. So I got very interested in this word authenticity. And originally, authentic just meant something is real, right? Rembrandt actually painted this painting. It's authentic. And then it acquired this kind of existential dimension. It actually wound up meaning being true to your inner self. So sincerity was this concept in the Renaissance. Your public self and your private self matched, right? You were not a hypocrite. And then authenticity came along in the Romantic era, and it actually meant that you're bringing your demons out into public. You're actually being real in that sense. So then enter technology. Walter Benjamin comes along and tells us that when we make copies of things, everything changes. And what we're doing today is making copies of ourselves on social networks. Now, this has consequences. One of them is that these versions of ourselves that we create have value. And we find that every time we come up with a new way of making ourselves seem more real, we also end up making money. And that's kind of exciting, and we want it. So we do it, and we turn ourselves into these authenticity machines, and we keep pushing it until we realize, wait a minute, now this doesn't feel real anymore. There's a problem. And we decide, oh my God, we have to start pressing the reset button and starting all over. So this brings us to the present and the two different versions of online identity represented by these two men. Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, and Christopher Moot-Poole, the founder of 4chan, the online community best known for its many trolls. So Zuck's view is very simple. You have one identity, right? If you have more than one identity, you have no integrity, which technically is literally true. Moot says identity is prismatic. Anonymity is authenticity. You can be unvarnished, unfiltered, raw. It's great. So in the music world, we know this divide, right? There's Bruce and Bob. There's Patti Smith and RuPaul. There's kind of the unitary visionary and the sort of trickster who's got all these different identities. Now, these are two different kinds of authenticity. It's not that one is more authentic than the other. They're just different ways of thinking about what's authentic, whether it's one thing or it's many things. And the thing is, this is not a problem just for rock stars or celebrities. It's a problem for all of us now. The good news is that there is some scholarship and some science that can help us understand this. So if we go back to the sociologist Irving Goffman, who wrote about this stuff in this book, The Presentation of Self in Everyday Life, this was long before the internet. He was describing how we basically are spending much of our time putting on shows for one another. Then in contemporary neuroscience, we have David Eagleman, who tells us that inside our heads are actually competing populations of that are fighting over what we're going to do next. There's actually a common thread in our brains, which is kind of scary. So what I'm getting at here is that it's actually theater all the way down, which to me says that the Zuckerberg view is going to have some tough times ahead. Recently on his blog, oh my God, there's a typo on my slide. Evan Williams wrote, online identity is still a messy problem. I think he's right, but I think I need to edit this because we need to strike online, because this is true offline, and we need to strike still, because I think this is a permanent problem. It's a mess. It affects all of us. Even if you're Rupert Murdoch, you can be being yourself on Twitter, just letting it all hang out, sounding like Mr. Burns, and your wife says, Rupert, delete tweet, and you do it. And yet it turns out that this is not your wife, it's a fake. Her account is verified, but it's not her. So what does this tell me? It tells me first that we should not trust platform vendors to police identity. It also tells me that we should accept that our personalities, our identities are multiple. That's okay. We should still keep trying to be real because it's the right thing. Thanks.